What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and I am your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live, this time the Tuesday night edition. And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to all my viewers who watched last week's live, both on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you weren't live and you watched the recording, I just want to give you a shout out as well. We had two banging shows last Tuesday. We went over latest news and fight announcements surrounding Canelo and Skull, Canelo Crawford. We also talked about Edgar Berlanga announcing his fight as the co-main event in Orlando. And then Thursday, we had undefeated lightweight Lucas Prince Body, 18-0, 15 knockouts. He fights for Most Valuable Promotions. We had him on to talk about his upcoming fight that he is headlining March 7th in his hometown of Canada. So again, if you have not seen any of those episodes, make sure you go and check them out at the Hangout spot. But tonight we got another banging episode, man. We got the welterweight champion, the WBO welterweight champion, Brian Norman Jr. is in the building. Obviously, you know I rock with the Normans, man. So right now, Brian Jr. is preparing for his upcoming fight on March 29th in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of role reversal because Brian Jr. actually trained Pops Brian Sr. this past weekend in a fight that he had against Greg Hackett. So we're going to go over that. But before we get started and I bring in the champ, I just want to let y'all know, you know the deal. There's ground rules, man, in the Hangout spot. If you are watching live on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button as it will help with the visibility of the channel. The goal is to get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know that we rocking out every Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and sometimes even on a Wednesday, depending on how many guests we got. And just like every other day, right? Make sure you subscribe to the Hangout spot, man. And if you have not told a friend, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend, because this is how we're doing it up in 2025. We're trying to turn this train into a locomotive. In order for us to do that, we're going to need more passengers. Last but not least, the super chats are open. The free chats are open. Make sure you guys get involved in that.
Straight cash, homie.
But without further ado, again, a person that I admire very much. In fact, I admire both the Normans very, very much because they both show me love. And it's not every day that you have the WBO welterweight champion in the building with you. But without further ado, I just want to bring in my man, again, the WBO welterweight champion, Brian Norman Jr., the assassin. My man, welcome back to the Hangout spot, man.
It's good with your boss, man. We got the chill spot, man. We got the chill spot.
You already know, man. I had you on one time, man. And again, you know, I appreciate you rocking with me. I interviewed Pops a couple weeks ago, and he said that you don't really do a lot of shows. You're like picky and choosy with some of the interviews that you give. But he told me that that you rock with me, man, and I appreciate that, man, because you know you family, man. Anytime anybody
That's why
comes
I
to hang
rock
out,
with
for
you.
y'all family.
Yeah, that's why I rock with you. Like you said, we family. So you part of the chosen few, man. You my dog.
I appreciate you, champ. I appreciate you. But man, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it because I know you're tired. You're in the middle of training. We're gonna get into your upcoming fight in just a little bit. But this past weekend, man, a little bit of role reversal, man. Instead of the fighter, you played the trainer because Pops was in a fight against Greg Hackett. It took place in Atlanta, and Pops comes out victorious. Shout out to Brian Sr., man. He is my guy. 14 years out of the ring, he gets back into the ring and wins by
Yeah.
unanimous decision, man. But so, champ, tell me about that experience, man. How different was it transforming from the fighter to the trainer, and nonetheless training your dad, man?
It really wasn't much of an issue because we are a very, I'm gonna say, smart way of the way we work together is very smart. We always talk stuff out, always think stuff out. So it was just saying the same thing he was telling me, just right back to him. So this time, instead of doing the word, now I'm just saying, just hold the mix pretty much, just tell him what to do. So it really wasn't a crazy transition, a hard transition, but he got the same mindset as me, the same work ethic as me. He just 21 years older, that's all. So had to shake the rust off. He only had 2 months of training. He had a few sparring. Shout out my boy Tay Jones, my boy Chess. That was the main sparring partners for him, but um, really wasn't that much of a struggle.
Was it a surprise when this whole thing came about? I mean, again, Pops hasn't been in the ring for over 14 years. So what was your initial reaction when he said, yo, Junior, I think I'm going to do this, man, and I need you to be in my corner?
I wasn't surprised, but it was just more so just like, dang, all right, here we go. Let's go on and get started. So it wasn't really a surprise because I already know his whole thing is he bought it as well. So he trying to get this work. So it wasn't a surprise at all when he said I might be fighting. So I was ready for it, just like him.
Did you? So you never tried to talk him out of it? Like, pops, what's going on, man? 14 years out of the ring, man. You really want to do this?
Now, so I never talked him out of it at all. But when he first mentioned it, of course I didn't want him to fight. This to myself. I never really told him this, but it's just the fact that I don't want to see him get hit. Plain and simple. So it's just that's my dog. I don't want to see my dog get hurt, not one little bit. I don't care if it don't hurt necessarily speaking. I don't want to see you get touched at all.
I hear that. I hear that. Was it harder to be a trainer as opposed to being trained for a fight?
I say it's harder being a trainer simply because you are necessarily not in control. Like I'm not doing the action. Like it's like playing the game. Like I'm telling you what to do. I just gotta pray that you're doing what I tell you to do. So I like actually being in the ring myself a whole lot better. It's less stressful.
Which brings me to my next question. When you decide to call it a career, will you consider training fighters?
I don't think I could do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I could do it for two reasons. The reason I just said about the stressfulness of watching your fighter go in there, then like of course, this was my father, but even if it's just a fighter that I trained or whatever, at all times, they gonna feel like family to me as well. So I don't really want to see them get hurt. So I'm gonna have an attachment to them. So that part will play an aspect, and also the other aspect of a lot of people don't have that extra gear, that extra push, that mentality that I have. So it's only the chosen few that have it, and I will get very aggravated if you're not putting in the work. Like if I have to force you to come into the gym, I have to force you to do this. I got to force you to do that. To simply just show up, if I got to force you to show up, stuff like that would make me mad, and I will instantly just give up on you because you already gave up on yourself. So I'm doing right. I'm doing the same thing, which I'm giving up on you as well. So it's not a lot of people that keep showing up every day just to do the exact same thing over and over and over and just keep drilling it into their head.
That makes perfect sense, man, because I've heard a lot of great athletes in the past say that they wouldn't consider coaching because of their work ethic. And
Hmm.
they're going to expect everybody else to have the same work ethic. And sometimes people aren't built that way.
Hmm.
And it's frustrating if they're not doing it the way you did it,
Yeah.
when you were either a fighter or a player. I remember hearing Michael Jordan or Kobe, one of the two, saying something like that when they were asked about coaching. And it makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
I totally get it. I totally get it because I heard Pops on an interview with the Boxing Voice on Monday after the win, and he said you were more intense than he was pre-fight. Like there was a moment where he was on his phone, and I think it kind of irked you. Like, yo, what are you doing, man? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about that, champ.
Man,
You had to give
it,
Pops the business.
yeah, it's distractions. It's just like, all right, boom. I don't care what's going on in the house right now. Anything could be going off a fire alarm, this, that, and the third. But guess what? I'm doing the interview with you, so I'm not worried about that. I'm doing this right here. So my whole thing is focused on the task at hand. I'm not trying to talk to nobody. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do that. We right here. So that was my whole thing. Just get your focus on point. So when it's fight time, you right there on the fight. You doing what you're supposed to do. You listen to your coach. You know what I'm saying? Everything you did in training camp, you focusing on that in the back. Don't say, okay, I'm finna do this, I'm finna do that, I'm finna jab, I'm finna, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Just focus. That was my only thing. Just focus on the task at hand.
See what I'm talking about? The intensity of the chat, man.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He said. I think he said that you took his phone away or something like that.
I did, yes. Cause man, I had to take it away. It's you going on a mission. You can't be distracted while on your mission. Like somebody trying to kill you or whatever, you always on your phone chilling. No, focus on the task at hand. That's real dead how I feel. After I get done with this, now I can get back on my phone. I can get so I can do whatever. But right now, I got to deal with this. That's just how I feel.
No, man, that makes perfect sense, man. But when I heard about it, I was like, I gotta ask the champ that, man, because that shit made me laugh.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. I totally get it, man. Pops went in there, did his thing, won by unanimous decision. How do you rate his performance?
Um. Personally, I was not satisfied. That's just me being me. I wasn't satisfied. His focus wasn't on point in that first round for a fact. Then it started off bad, but he slowly started getting it back in back in line. But it's just how we were brought up, me how he brought me up. Never satisfied, always looking for more. So it's just I always want more. That's all.
No, I hear that. I
So
hear
now
that.
he did his thing. I just want some more. I just want perfection.
I hear you. I hear you. Is this it, or do you think we get that back in the ring? I know he was talking about wanting to kick Tim Bradley's ass.
I think that's it. Unless it's Tim Bradley, I think that's it. Like more so that was more personally him and Greg Hackett. He had to get that out the way. But Tim, that's also more personal. Besides that, ain't nothing really going on.
I hear that. How you hear that? My man Miles Austin is in the building showing support. What's going on, champ? Thanks for rocking out with us. My man Saint I am. Salute to the champ. Absolutely. We got WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr., the assassin, in the building with us here. And we got Superwoman 607. She is here to support. Appreciate you, sister. My man Wax, what's going on, my brother? Always here supporting the channel. I appreciate everybody. And if you guys have not hit that like button, make sure you hit that like button. Champ, let's switch gears a little bit because you have a and wait, whoa, hold on a second. Hold on a second. We got somebody else that you might know that's in the building as well. We got Senior. We got Uncle B in the building. Coach Brian Norman Senior. What's going on, Coach? I appreciate you, man. We were talking nothing but good things about you. Don't worry about it. Anyhow, let's switch gears a little bit, champ, because you got a fight coming up, man.
Hmm.
This is March 29th. You're going to be the co-main event in Las Vegas. Let me just put the poster up here real quick for my viewers. You're going to be fighting Derrieck Cuevas. Now, this was and this will be your first title defense of the
Yes, sir.
WBO title. This was a fight that was in the making. It was supposed to happen, I believe, in November, if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken, right?
Yes,
And
November.
yeah, and I think obviously you had to pull out because you were dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury. Number one, how do you feel now? How's training going? And what can we expect going into this fight March 29th?
Training has been going wonderful. Has been going great. I also have a whole new mindset since I became a champion. So like now, I have learned a lot from doing camps before, and I'm implementing it all into what I'm doing right now. And then even with the nagging injury, that is no longer an issue, not even 1%. So now I'm a full deal, real deal, 100. So I'm just ready to go, guns blazing.
And of course, Derek Quaver is a tough guy. Not a lot of people know that.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people know that, I guess, if unless you're a hardcore. But he's extremely, extremely tough. He brings a great record. Only lost one fight. Has good knockout power as well. How are you approaching this fight, like champ? Because again, you've been out of the ring for a little while now. Are we expecting the same explosive Brian Norman that we did against Santillan?
Good. I'm expecting better. That's what you should be looking for. But regarding him, I'm looking at myself fighting. I picture myself fighting the me right before Santinian fighting. What I mean by that is a hungry fighter that's simply saying, I got one fight and I get to change my whole life. Like literally just give it everything I got on this one night and I changed my whole life. So that's what I'm imagining what he is going through. So now that's what I gotta amplify myself even more, work even harder, work even smarter, and take my game to a whole new level.
I hear that. I hear that. I mean, nothing but good things for you in 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing you back in the ring. But this fight almost didn't happen, because there was a very, very public negotiation that was
Mm-hmm.
going on. I believe it was before November, which
Mm-hmm.
was which had you potentially fighting Jaron Boots Ennis in a
Mm-hmm.
title unification bout, and that's about that. Obviously, had the boxing world buzzing, myself included. And you guys were in negotiations, and supposedly it fell apart. Now,
Mm-hmm.
champ, I know the business of boxing, so I understand fully. But for my viewers out there, explain what happened in that negotiation.
For the magnitude of the fight, they really wasn't trying to pay at all. And then now they were trying to lowball me at first, but now they paying Santillion more than what they was trying to give me. Then they also moved the venue to Atlantic City, so it's not a hometown fight for Boots anyway. So it was just them trying to play games, and then we just asked for a little bit more, and they didn't want to do it, and they gave Santillion. Wait, Stanionis, my bad.
Stanionis. Yeah.
Stanionis.
Yep.
I get their
Yep.
names mixed up a lot, but
Mhm.
they gave Stanionis a whole lot more than what we was asking for. So they ain't wanted it in the first place. And also, I believe with the IBF rules, the Karen fight was already solidified, necessarily speaking, before negotiations and all of that between me and him. So the fight couldn't happen anyway.
So you think it was all a mirage because
Yeah.
everything that we saw in the media was it was basically a done deal. Not a done deal. Let me rephrase that.
Hmm.
It was basically close to being a done deal. There was just money particulars that were going back and forth. And I
Hmm.
know I spoke to your dad about that. He went on a bunch of social media channels to explain that because I think it makes perfect sense. You were supposed to go to Philly, right, to fight him
Hmm.
in his backyard. So
Yeah.
I do think that obviously, yeah. I mean, I think that they should make it worth your while. There are a bunch of different fees that obviously you would have had to pay. I think you would have had to pay Top Rank a fee to be able to cross over. Was that correct?
Yeah. Definitely had to pay them a fee.
Yeah, and Pops wanted you to get your just due, for a
Hmm.
title unification. You're undefeated champion. He wanted you to come home with your just due. So I totally understood it, but there were fans that were going berserk over it. And then you fast forward, and you obviously now are fighting Derrieck Cuevas, which again, this was a guy that you were supposed to fight in the first place.
Hmm.
But there were fans that were critical of that. They were saying that why didn't Brian Jr. take that fight, regardless of the money? It was a legacy fight. You could have beaten Boots Ennis and then potentially make double the amount, down the road. What do you say to those fans that don't understand why you made that business decision?
What I say to those fans is simply they wasn't trying to pay me the money, right? So obviously they saying I am nobody. So now I have to go out, show them who I am, show them that they finna pay me my money by what I do in the ring, then come back and say, okay, where is the money? And best believe yesterday's price is not today's price. I need my money.
So you moved on beyond that. Obviously, you're moving on to your next fight. Boots is fighting in a unification, like we just talked about, against Saniotis. How do you see that fight playing out?
I can't really say anything because I haven't watched Stanionis. Well, a full fighter standing on this like real deal, know how he fight. I only watch little small clips, but I know for a fact he's a tough fighter. He comes and give it everything he got as well. Is the reason why he's the champion. But Boots is also Boots as well. So I think it's a toss up. Anything can happen,
In
especially in the
hindsight,
championship fight.
no, absolutely, you're absolutely correct. In hindsight, now, right? You made
Hmm.
that decision in October, I believe it was, or even before that.
What decision?
The decision, well, you guys with the no negotiation, right? That you wanted a
Okay.
certain amount of
Yeah.
money, and because of that, obviously the fight didn't happen. I didn't
Hmm.
know that there was mostly a mirage in the back. I'm not surprised. I should know better, right? I've been around the business of boxing for a little
Well,
while.
let me add this to it as well. So he sent me. I ain't gonna say he. Eddie Hearn. Their whole team sent me the lowest money possible off rip. Then they sent them to a whole lot, triple times the amount that they originally uh tried to offer me. So I feel like the whole thing was we all know he is the so-called boogeyman. So they're trying to feed that persona of him being the boogeyman. Right after the whole situation, they sent Charles Conwell at 154 a low ball contract as well. He denied it. So now guess what? The boogeyman name is even more amplified. But now we got you a $5 million contract at 154 with Virgil Ortiz, and you declined that. So what's going on? That's why I say this whole thing was just a facade, just to build up your so-called boogie name fan base, that the boogeyman name behind you. You just a human. No matter what, we all human. Your work ethic is what speaks for you, and that's why I work so hard. That's why I'm so disciplined. in What I do. As time goes on, I keep getting better. I keep being more disciplined. I'm eating right, taking care of myself, doing what I got to do, and trust in due time, I will get that fight and I will win it.
Shout out to you, champ. You bring up a good point because that wasn't a good look for him. I mean, he had said after his fight before the Karen fight that, or I'm sorry, after the Karen fight that he potentially moved to 154.
Oh yeah, I forgot to add that. So I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah,
that as well.
Yeah, it was in his post-fight interview that he would be
Mhm.
willing to move up to 154, and then all of a sudden he gets that offer and he doesn't, or whatever, that fight is on the table, he doesn't take it.
Mhm.
He moves back down to 147. So that wasn't a good look for him. But in a sense, I'm not necessarily mad either because the fight that I want to see is you against him, right? I want to see
Mhm.
some unifications going on. I feel like there's some unfinished business. I don't want him to leave the division without you getting your shot. So that, I'm not mad at that. But I did think at the time that Eddie Hearn was kind of maneuvering a bit. Remember, that was kind of his crown jewel, or can be, right? His crown jewel, his American fighter. Maybe he was trying to uh, protect him a little bit. So I didn't know about all the stuff behind the scenes, but
Mhm.
everybody just kept looking at Brian Norman Jr. Like Brian Norman Jr. is the fault. Brian Norman Sr. That's their fault that this fight didn't happen, and I thought it was unfair because at the end of the day, boxing is a business.
Yeah, I mean, he got the bigger fan base, so of course, people choose their sides and pick their side. So right now, he got the bigger fan base, so of course, everybody on their side. For example, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. I was going for Errol Spence, like a real deal. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? So I was going for Errol Spence. The whole everybody was they wasn't giving Terrence Crawford a chance at all. After Terrence Crawford beat him, he got a big fan base now, and he can beat everybody. So it's all about this. What real deal matters, which is when you step into the ring, what happens. So, for example, the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fights, Errol Spence had more fans, but when it came down to it, the better man won that night. So the fan base don't matter. What happens in that ring matters. That's what matters to me. So
Absolutely,
talk is cheap. Let's get this work in. But
absolutely.
with that being said, I got a fight coming up against Derrieck Cuevas. I'm not trying to talk about boots because I'm not trying to overlook my opponent. I got a hungry fighter right here in front of me, and I'm not just finna skip past him.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We're moving on here. But Pop said, all bullshit. How they going to offer Conwell 350K at junior middle, then duck Virgil for 5 million at the same weight? Yeah, man. I mean, it's shady. It's nasty work. But at the end of the day, this is the business of boxing. And you, like you said, you're going to handle your business. He got to fight. I'm just hoping that we see that fight, in 2025. I think it needs to happen. But in the same respect, I wasn't mad. You're young. There's plenty of time for this fight to happen as long as he doesn't split to 154. So now that he's here, there's no excuse. Champ, I wish you nothing but the best on the 29th. I expect you to just, honestly, I expect you to just kind of skyrocket through this challenge on March 29th. And when you do, when do you want to get back into the ring? How soon do you want to get back into the ring? Or will you
Oh,
wait for the winner of Stanionis and Boots?
I think they're like a week or 2 weeks after me, so I don't really have to wait necessarily speaking. But yeah, yeah, I think
Good
they're
point.
like 2 weeks after me.
Yeah,
So yeah,
good
I don't
point.
really have to wait regarding who wins that fight. But I'm down to get right back into it. I like this is what I do year round. So like even I fought back in May, I've been in the gym the whole time since then. So I mean, this what I do. This what I love to do. The more I fight, the better I get. So um, I'm down to get right back in.
Hopefully they don't have a rematch clause, coach.
Mm.
Hopefully not. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the future is bright. You made an IG post at some point in 2024 that made some headlines as well, pointing out your hit list, Boost being one of them, Tio being another guy. Why did you put that out? Because you don't really put out a lot of stuff like that, champ. You're not really, you don't do that a lot. I wish you
Mm.
did. I wish you did, but you're not. I know that's not you. I really know that's not you. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
rather just do your talking in the ring. But why did you feel it was the time to do that? Because I thought it was dope. You need to do more of those, champ.
Yeah, so the reason why I did that is because a closed mouth don't get fed. So these are the guys I want to fight, and I got to put it out there. So now, of course, it's not me to necessarily do that, but I really did want to fight them. So a closed mouth don't get fed. I want y'all to let's run it.
I hear that. I hear that. Is Tio somebody that's still on your hit list? Because again, this was in 2024. There's been a lot of shit that has gone down between now and then with Tio. Is he still
Mm.
somebody that you feel that you can lure into a fight, or do you think he's playing games? Because it seems
I,
like he calls out everybody.
I don't care what he got going on or what games he playing or if he is or if he not. At the end of the day, if you trying to get this contract signed to get this work in, I'm here for it. So I don't care what he got going on. I'm just here for the real deal.
Hypotheticals. You were your promoter. You could call your next three fights. Who would they be against?
Yeah, you keep trying to make me look past my first fight right
My
here.
bad. It's not. That's not
can
my
can
intention.
can
That's
that
not
that's
my,
that's a question
all
for
right.
after this
All
fight.
right. Let's go. Well,
That's
you
a
got
question
Derrieck
for after
Cuevas.
this fight.
All right. So do you promise you're gonna come back on after your fight, right?
Yeah, but
You're
right
gonna
now
come
I
back
got
on
I
to the
got a
Hangout
mission
spot.
on Derrieck Cuevas, a guy who's trying to take my head off, who's trying to change his life, change his family life. I don't know if he got kids, but he trying to help his kids out if he do. So I can't just look past him like he is nobody. Just because you don't know his name don't mean anything.
I
Just
know,
last year, nobody knew about me. Now look at where I'm at. So I'm not just finna look past this guy like he is nobody.
champ. I knew you, and I know Cuevas, man.
Hmm.
But you're right. There are a lot of casuals who don't know Cuevas, but again, he's a tough dude, man. He's a tough
Hmm.
guy, and a lot of people are overlooking him. Not me. I think you're. I just it's not overlooking him. I just think that you're a special fighter, and I'm
Hmm.
not just
I
saying that.
appreciate that.
I'm not just saying that because you're my dog. I mean, I seen you in the ring. I mean, what you do in the ring, speaks for itself. But at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be in Vegas. My only regret is I wish I could be there, man. But I'm not going to be able to travel to Vegas. I'm on a budget. But I wish I could be there to support. Um, Next time, hopefully I can get to your next fight. I would like to be able to possibly after this one, maybe go hit up one of your trainings live,
Oh
and
yeah,
spend a
most
day with
definitely, most
yeah,
definitely.
spend a day with you and pops, and see you get that work, and that would be totally dope. But before I let you go, there's a lot of good fights coming up, man. This weekend, are you going to be watching any of these fights? I mean, this weekend is going to be an amazing card
Who
in
fight? Who
Riyadh.
fighting this weekend?
You got the last crescendo. You got that fight card with like 7 main events. Well, actually, they just canceled one of them. One of them is supposed to be Shakur against Floyd Schofield. I don't know if you heard that
Mm.
news.
Yeah, my boy had called me about that. He said
Yeah,
what
man.
he tried to spike his food or something.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff swirling around, man. I
Nah,
mean,
they've been saying a whole bunch of just crazy stuff the whole time, to the passport stuff, to this and that.
yeah,
I don't know what's going on, man. Just
yeah,
that's on them.
that was crazy. I was looking forward to that fight because I give Floyd a lot of props. He's a young lion.
Yeah.
He's stepping up, trying to be great. When a lot of people don't feel he's ready for that Shakur challenge, so I was looking forward to that. So that's canceled. Somebody else is going to step in on last minute notice to fight Shakur. But then you got the rematch between Bivol and Better Beef at 175.
Oh yeah, I
That's the
like that
main
fight.
event.
I like that
That's
fight.
that's the main event. Who did you have winning that first one?
I really didn't score it. Really, I was just watching it as a fan, like just enjoying it as the round goes on. Really, that's what I do when I watch fights. I just watch it to enjoy it. I don't really like try to score it every time because it just have fun sometimes. You can't be uptight all the time, making everything so serious. But it was a close fight. I know that for a fact. It was a very close fight. Um, Either man could have won or it could have been a draw. So it definitely wasn't a robbery. I could definitely tell you that. And this time, actually, I want Bivol to win this one, and so they could be a trilogy, and then we could see a third fight with them too.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. The co-main event is the heavyweights Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. Both guys coming in with a lot of momentum.
Hmm.
That's going to be a banger. You got Madrimov, Israel
Yeah,
Madrimov, who just fought Terrence Crawford. He's fighting Virgil Ortiz
yeah,
Jr. at 154. That's on that card. You get another heavyweight battle, Big Bang Zhang against Cabo Yal, which on paper looks like it could be a very explosive fight. Buatsi against Callum Smith at 175. I mean, this card is
yeah.
stacked. It's possibly one of the best cards I've seen in my lifetime, and I've been around for a long time, champ. I'm old.
Yeah,
You
now
know what I mean?
Riyadh season, they be doing their thing when it come out to the card. Like they have some heavy hitters on every card.
We got to get you on a Riyadh card, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, talk to somebody, please.
Hey, listen, if they're
I'm trying to
listening,
get it
I
on
will
there.
scream at the top of my lungs, man. You know how we get down, champ. Good luck to you in
Yeah,
your upcoming fight. That's Liz Rosado. That's actually wifey, man. She's a big
yeah.
supporter of the Normans as well. So shout out to you, wifey, for tuning in. She's not the biggest boxing fan in the world, but she's coming around now that I'm doing my thing in
Getting
boxing.
into it, getting into it.
We trying to we trying to get into it. So the coach made a prediction here. Better be for the victory. Um, it could happen, coach. It could happen, which could maybe set up a fight with David Benavidez because I had Jose Senior on 2 weeks ago, and he said that they were invited to Riyadh to watch the fight for potentially maybe him next in line if Better Beef wins. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting. But that's a great card. Like I said, the best thing about that card, champ, is they only charge $26 for us to watch it on pay-per-view.
That's why I like them right there.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. We got Said I Am, a champ question, AY champ question. We got to get the champ off soon. So if you want to ask it real quick. But then we also got we got Tank and Roach in New York City,
That's
Barclays
March
Center.
1st, right? March 1st.
That is March 1st. I'll actually be in the building for that. I'm making my Brooklyn debut. The Hangout spot is actually making his Brooklyn debut. My old stomping grounds because I was born and raised in Brooklyn. But yeah, I'll be in the building for that. What do you think about that fight before I let you go?
I think it'll be a great fight starting off, and then Tank. I ain't gonna say he's the bigger man, but he's naturally stronger in my opinion than Roach. And I feel like that plus the explosiveness that he had later on in the rounds is gonna catch up to Roach, and he may get caught slipping.
Yeah, I hear that. And it's a good card. It's a good card. I mean, it's not the best card, but it'll be entertaining. Like I said, Tank usually
Who
brings
on
up.
the undercard? Why you say that? Who on the undercard?
You got Rayo. Rayo's going to be Rayo Valenzuela, Jose Valenzuela, who is coming off
Yeah.
his title victory against Pitbull. He'll be fighting in the co-main event against Gary Antoine Russell. That's actually a good fight, actually.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, I wouldn't say that. It's a good card. No, it's a good card.
Yeah. Now
It's
that's
a
a
good
great
card.
fight, even to me. I like Gary Anton Russell here, dog, too, and Rayo. Is it Rayo or Rayo?
Rayo, yeah, Rayo,
Yeah,
yeah.
but now both of them dogs. So I think that's gonna be a real good fight. Might even steal the show, in my opinion.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I think it'll be more. It could be more competitive. I don't know, man. Like I said, I like Mount Roach. I do. I think he's got a lot of skills. It's just he's a smaller guy.
Hmm.
Moving up to 135. Fighting obviously a guy who hits a lot harder than his division. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, at the end of the day, skills win fights. Card is stacked. Box, yes, absolutely. And Saint I Am's question was: is a fight versus Rashidi a possibility?
Man, he ain't making no noise, man. Ain't even no possibility. He ain't even doing that. He had the chance to come, like he was talking crazy, man. Watch out. I'm gonna say no, it ain't. He playing game. He ain't trying to do nothing.
I saw you guys go at it one time on an IG live, I believe, on Mill City.
Yeah.
He was trying to lobby for a fight. He was giving, Boots a lot of credit, talking about he's the best. Like, you don't do shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should want to be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But nah,
there's something about a fighter that gives another fighter like he's the best. Nah, you should want to be the best. You should
exactly.
believe that you are the
I never
best.
bow down to a man to say he is better than me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Even look, I can lose today. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm finna go to the gym tomorrow and say I'm better than you now. What's up? So no matter what, ain't no man better than me. I worked too hard. I done been through too much. You are not better than me, no matter what you do, because I did more. I have studied more. I have took care of I did too much. It's impossible. So nobody is better than me. I really did feel like that.
Absolutely. We got Saint I Am with a $5 super chat.
Straight cash, homie.
Appreciate you, champ. Appreciate the donation. Appreciate you jumping on, champ. Salute to you and your title defense in March. I
Mhm.
agree those sentiments. Obviously, I'm riding with you. I'm always riding with the Normans. Y'all family. Anytime you come to the hangout spot, you are family, and you are
Mhm.
welcome back at any time. You know the deal. Hopefully, I'll get you back up in here after March 29th. After your victory, I'm calling it. You can say what you want, but I'm calling it.
Yeah, no, we could call the victory. We can call that one. We just not finna look past it. Like you said, I'm a special fighter, and the reason why I'm special is because I focus on the task at hand. And right now, here's my task. So all my focus is on him.
Absolutely, man. No, I appreciate you putting me in place, champ. That wasn't the intent, but I get exactly what you're saying, man. Um, but anyhow, I know that you're busy, you're tired, so I'm gonna let you go. Again, I appreciate the time. It's not every day that I get to chop it up with not just a welterweight champion of the world, but a guy that's very, very special. Like I'm a huge fan of yours. You know the deal.
Thank you, boss.
All right, so I'm gonna let you go, bro. My love to Pops as well, Coach B, Uncle B, man.
All right, y'all.
All right, man. Good luck March 29th, man. I'll be watching.
Got you, boss, man.
Appreciate you. There you have it, man. That is the WBO welterweight champion of the world, Brian Norman Jr. And I rocks with the Normans, you know what I'm saying? Because Coach B. I call him Uncle B. Brian Senior. He shows the channel love, and obviously he came to check in. Coach Uncle B, I appreciate you. In fact, I got to get you up in here because we got to talk about your fight, because you made your victory tour everywhere except the Hangout spot, man. You can't forget your family right here. You got to come and check me, man, so we could talk about your fight and, more importantly, the future. Because you was talking that shit on the Boxing Voice about wanting Bradley. So let's come on here so you can call out Bradley. I could put a short up. The more, the merrier for us to make that fight happen. I'm down with you, Coach B. We got my man Elvis Rodriguez Gutierrez in the building. Shout out to you, champ. Thanks for rocking out with me. That's right. Hit me up, Coach. We'll set that up. But yeah, man, that was the WBO welterweight champion. Like I said, Brian Norman Jr., very exciting fighter. I'm a huge fan of his. I will always have the support of the Normans. Can't wait for his upcoming fight on March 29th. And I know he's going to handle business with flying colors. I mean, there's not even a doubt in my mind. And hopefully, like I said, we could get the fight that we want to see in the future. And if it ain't Boots, then maybe a unification, man. If Stanionis cooks Boots and he wins, then I want to see the Assassin Jr. I want to see the Assassin in there in a unification bout. I think that would be dope. He's 24 years old. The future's bright, man. He could take over this division, man. I see unification, a unified champion, possibly an undisputed champion. I don't know how long Boots Ennis is even going to stay in the division. Who knows? I mean, if he's even going to stay in there to wait around. But I know Brian Jr. is good. He's fine in this division. He can be in this division for a while. So there's no doubt in my mind that he's here to stay, for the long run. Eventually down the road when he gets older, obviously you'll see a move up to 154. I think that's going to be inevitable, but I don't think it's anytime soon is what I'm saying. And Brian Jr. was tired, man. He's going through an extensive training. Just finished training Pops, and you heard how that went. Now he's going through an extensive training for March 29th. He's not leaving no stone unturned, man. Derrieck Cuevas is a tough dude. They can't take him lightly, and I know they won't take him lightly. But I'm glad. I'm glad that he's going to be back in the ring. Can't wait. March 29th. If you guys didn't see, let me post that up one more time. Las Vegas, March 29th. The Fountain Blue in Las Vegas. You got Brian Norman Jr. making his first title defense against Derrieck Cuevas from Puerto Rico. That's the co-main event to the Sandy Ryan and Michaela Mayer rematch. That first fight was a banger in New York City. As always, the females do not disappoint, man. The females do not disappoint. And I just heard that they added Troy Isley, 154-pound undefeated, another exciting fighter, great boxer, mover. They added him to the card. Saying I am. Yo, I appreciate you rocking out. Appreciate the super chat as well, man. This is how we do it up here at the Hangout spot. My Boxing Voice people, my Boxing Voice family are always here to support. And I'm here to try to deliver the best content that we could possibly deliver to you every Tuesdays and Thursday nights here at the Hangout Spot Live. And again, if you have not hit that like button, smash it. Smash it. We're trying to get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know we're rocking out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And do me a favor, man. If y'all rock with me, tell a friend and subscribe to the Hangout Spot. We got to turn this train into a locomotive in 2025 so we can get the bigger and better interviewers. We're going to need more passengers on that train to be able to do so. And keep the chat cooking, man. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer because we had some breaking news that just popped today.
We interrupt this program with breaking news.
So, like I was talking to the champion about, we had the Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield fight that got canceled today. And personally, I was super duper disappointed about that.
Damn.
This is nasty.
It was, man. It was, because it's crazy how Shakur predicted on a sit down with Andre Ward not that long ago. He predicted that he didn't think that Floyd Schofield would make it to this fight. And I thought at the time it was cap. Like, what would realistically cause Floyd Schofield to back out of this fight? I mean, he's the one that dared to be great. He stepped up, put his name into the hat. And let's not forget, he did that even though Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter, is on the record saying that he didn't think he was ready for that. Oscar De La Hoya would not have gotten him this fight at this early in his career, but the Schofields insisted, we want that smoke. We have what it takes, the power, the pressure to take out the great Shakur Stevenson. So they made this fight happen. And at the end of the day, believe it or not, I was excited about it. I'm a big Shakur guy. People that know me know I'm a big Shakur guy. I love what he does in the ring. A lot of people criticize him for being boring. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's boxing. I think it's sweet. I love to see that. Don't get me wrong. I love to see, phone booth battles as well and knockouts, and Arturo Gatti against Mickey Ward type of fights. I mean, those are exciting fights. I get that, but I also like to see the sweet sides. And to me, what Shakur does defensively is gifted. I mean, that's a gift. It reminds me of watching Sweet Pea Whitaker, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. Rest in peace to Pernell Whitaker. One of the best, in my opinion, the best defensive fighter that ever lived. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate what Shakur brings to the table. Minus the De Los Santos fight. I didn't really appreciate that fight. I think, again, it was a lot more running for my liking. But again, supposedly he was dealing with an injury. He did enough to win that fight. It was not exciting at all. But I actually enjoyed the Artem fight. The Artem Haratunian fight, I enjoyed it. I thought he stood in the pocket for the majority of the fight. Shakur is not a power puncher. He's going to beat you with sharp counterpunching, precision, defense, head moving. I think what he does in there, from a defensive standpoint, in my opinion, is just brilliant. But I was looking forward to this young lion bringing it to him. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't picking Floyd to win. I mean, but I like Floyd. I'm also a big Floyd fan. We had him on. I was actually co-hosting on the Boxing Voice. And we had him and Pops on. Great interview because they bring a lot of energy. Pops, you already know how Floyd Schofield Sr. does. He's brash. He's confident. He talked that shit. So it was a very, very interesting interview. So it kind of got me engaged into this fight. Then all of a sudden I hear today is not on. And that's just nasty work. Supposedly Floyd got sick, ill. I don't know what happened. There's a lot of speculation going around that he was poisoned, food poisoning. Somebody from Shakur's camp that was down with snacks, massaged him with some kind of a cream that got him sick. Supposedly he didn't make when they got to Riyadh, when they initially got to Riyadh, I don't know what I forget what you call that. I'm drawing a blank right now. But supposedly, I don't know if it was a press conference or whatnot, but he didn't make that. Supposedly he was sick. And all of a sudden he's pulling out of the fight. So I guess we're going to hear more about this in the next coming days. I know that I was listening to the Boxing Voice. Shout out to my Boxing Voice family, Nesta Gibbs, and the community. I appreciate that. I was actually co-hosting last night on the Boxing Voice, and we had the great trainer, Terrence Crawford's trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre. He was on. We interviewed him. In fact, I'm trying to get Bomac on with me. So make sure if y'all not following me on Instagram at the Hangout spot, handles are above on the top of the screen. Make sure y'all follow me because that's where I put my updates on who I'm going to have as guests. We are trying to work on Brian Bomac McIntyre. I think he's a great interview. A cool dude. We're trying to get him on the Hangout spot so we could talk a little bit of shit about not just Terrence Crawford, but Keyshawn Davis, man. Spectacular performance on Saturday. Shout out to Keyshawn, who is now a WBO lightweight champion. In fact, let's give him an applause. I mean, that to me, I mean, it was a dominant performance. Dominant performance, man, against a champion from the Ukraine. Dennis Baranchek, a guy who never been stopped, and Keyshawn just bowled right over him, man. I mean, I gotta drop the bomb. He just molded right over him, and he was the bigger, stronger guy, and he didn't play with his food. He went in there, he took care of business. 14 fights, and Keyshawn Davis is a champion. So shout out to him, who is also good friends with Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur, they're trying to get back to Shakur real quick. We'll get back to Keyshawn in just a second. But Shakur, they're trying to find him a last-minute replacement. There's two names that came up. One of them is a fighter from the UK, Josh Hadley. I believe his name is. Let me just double check. I believe it's Josh Hadley. Yeah, Josh Padley. I'm sorry, I chopped up his last name. My bad. I totally chopped up his last name, man. Josh Padley. Padley with a P. Padley. They're looking at him as the possible replacement. He's actually 15-0, but he has really no pop. He has only 4 knockouts. He's coming off a victory over Mark Chamberlain by unanimous decision, who was undefeated at the time. And if you know Turki Al-Sheikh, Mark Chamberlain is one of Turki Al-Sheikh's favorite fighters, a very, very exciting fighter. Padley, boxed him, boxed his way to a unanimous decision victory. So they're looking at him right now. I'm hearing he's the front runner to face Shakur. And it is what it is at this point. At this point, you got to hope that at least they find somebody for Shakur, right? It's sad when you go through an entire training camp, right? Rigorous training camp. Let's not forget, Shakur Stevenson was supposed to fight Zabeta. Pulled out, injured his hand in training, had to pull out of that. So he hadn't fought in quite some time. We haven't seen him in the ring. The last time we saw him in the ring was against Artem. So, I was looking forward to seeing Shakur back. Obviously, you go through a grueling training camp. You're getting ready. Fight week. It's there. Days away from the weigh-in and the face-off, and now this happens. So you hope that they find him at least an opponent, so it won't be a wasted training camp and it won't be a wasted week or travel all the way to Saudi Arabia, man. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this card is stacked. I mean, it's possibly, in my opinion, and I'm an old dude, and I'll put it on the screen, possibly the best card that I've ever seen in my lifetime, stacked from top to bottom. And this is coming from a guy who lived through the Don King era, man, where Don King was putting out amazing cards. Champions, co-main event, the fight before the co-main event with championship fights. Shout out to Don King, man. But this card it has the potential to be special because these are potentially fights that you can put as main events on other cards. Joshua Buatsi, 175-pound battle against Callum Smith. That might be the least attractive for the boxing fan, but nonetheless, it's going to be a really good fight. Big Bang Zhili Zhang, the heavyweight, against Agit Kabayal, another exciting heavyweight. And you already know how the heavyweights do, man. You can't blink your eye. The heavyweights bring the action. They're explosive. Virgil Ortiz Jr. against Israel the Dream Madrimov at 154. That's going to be crazy. Virgil coming off of his close, controversial victory over Sergey Borchak, Fight of the Year candidate, fighting against Israel Madrimov, who put on a hell of a fight against Terrence Crawford. A lot of people are giving him props for the type of performance against Crawford. I don't believe he beat Crawford. I don't think the fight was close. He wasn't busy enough. He didn't throw enough punches. But at the end of the day, he showed that he's one of the better fighters. He was a former champion. I mean, Terrence Crawford won the title from Israel Madrimov. So I think this one's going to be a banger. Then you got Carlos Adames, middleweight champion against Hamza Shiraz. That's going to be crazy. Shakur Stevenson again against Josh Padley, potentially. It is what it is. The heavyweights, Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. That's going to be crazy. Both guys riding a ton of momentum. And then you got the main event. The much anticipated rematch, probably the fight that I'm looking forward to the most, between Arthur Beterbiev, the undisputed light heavyweight champion, over Dimitri Bivol. He wins a close decision in their first fight. And immediately after that, there were a frenzy of fans that were just going back and forth about who won that fight. There were people that felt that Beterbiev won. There were a lot of people that felt that Bivol won. Nonetheless, 5 minutes after that fight, I'm saying to myself, these guys got to do it again, because it was just too close to call. I'm not mad that Beterbiev won. I had Bivol slightly winning that fight. I think he was cooking. But again, he was fading towards the ending part of the fight. Can he do better? Can he win the rematch now and set up a potential trilogy? This is why this fight is so intriguing to me. Shout out to them for just doing it again. No fucking around, bro. This is what we need in boxing. This is why I love Turki Al-Sheikh in the sport of boxing. He wants to see the best fight the best. He's pushing these guys to the limit. He's paying them handsomely, and he's making fights that the fans want to see. So shout out to Turkey Al Sheikh, man, for putting this tremendous card together. I'm not going to steal the thunder. We're going to go over this card in detail on Thursday night show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, I'm looking at possibly having the Boxing Maniac with me to break it down from Four Corners Boxing. That's my guy. I love breaking fights down with him. So right now, he will probably be potentially with me as a co-pilot here at the Hangout spot. We're going to break down every single one of these fights, give us our thoughts. I definitely want the chat to come out for Thursday's show because I'm definitely getting you guys involved. We have to get the chat involved. I need to hear your predictions. So it ain't going to be just us. It's going to be me and my viewers and the chat. We're going to cook it up, man. We cannot let this fight card go to the, we can't. We got to break this down. I was even thinking about possibly doing a third show. In fact, if I get Bomac on, we might get him on tomorrow. We're still gonna rock Thursday, or maybe we rock Thursday. We get Bomac on Friday. Again, if you ain't following me on IG, make sure you follow me. That's why I put all my updates, my stories, my posts. And shame on you if you're not subscribed to the Hangout spot. If you're not, you better subscribe to the Hangout spot and tell a friend to tell a friend. We got my man Wax in the building. Get Maya Orion on the show. That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Wax. Let's see if we can work on that. Yes, the Shakur news and Floyd Schofield, major disappointment. I totally agree with you. Even if they get a replacement, it won't be as exciting. Nowhere near as exciting. Especially Padley. No disrespect to him. Like I said, he is undefeated, but he has no power. He's more of a boxer. I mean, that's gonna be. I hate to say it, man, but that's gonna be. That might be the most boringest fight that we see in the card now. I mean, the Floyd Schofield Shakur fight had at least some potential to be exciting because you knew Floyd Schofield with his style was going to bring the fight to Shakur. I didn't think he would be afraid at that age. With limited fights. I mean, these guys, they almost don't. In my opinion, with their youth, they're too young to even realize the moment. They just want to go in there and they want to try to make a statement. So that's why I was interested in that fight. I wanted to see how Shakur would be pushed against Floyd Schofield. And then obviously, the news today comes out. Elvin Rodriguez, this card is going to be fire, man. There's no ifs, ands or buts about it. This card from top to bottom is going to be absolutely special. And the best part about it is it's $26. Like, who does that, bro? I mean, you got PBC, no disrespect to them, that are putting together cards with maybe a good main event or maybe even a subpar, good co-main event. But then a lot of the other fights on the card are questionable. They charge $90. This card from top to bottom should be $100. $26, man. Shout out to Turkey Al Sheikh, man. If he was running for president, he'd get my vote. We got my man Norbs from Norbs It All Network in the building. What's going on, my brother? I ain't getting no shout out, bro. Wow. Listen, man, you don't need no shout out, bro. I shout you out all the time, man. I text you just to say, yo, what up? Because you my mans in them, bro. Don't get jealous, bro. Don't get jelly. Not that Paco the Maniac. That's your boy, bro. That is your boy, man. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to Thursday's show so that we could break down these fights. Once again, real quick, I just want to touch on Keyshawn's performance. Again, we said it, A+ performance. He did what he needed to do. Now the question is, who's next? Right? Who's next? Do we get a Tank fight? I don't know. I asked Bomac that question yesterday on the Boxing Voice. I would personally prefer a fight with Raymond Morataya. I think that would be an excellent fight. Two young undefeated guys. He said that would be a possibility. It's not out of the question. So I like that fight for Keyshawn next. I mean, but there's a few fights. I mean, there's a few fights that I'd like. I don't know if that Tank fight happens, especially not next. You know how Tank moves. You know what I mean? Let this Tank Roach fight get over with. And then we'll start, I guess, dissecting or predicting or what we think may be a next possible Tank opponent. But you can't figure Tank out, man. We don't know what Tank wants to do. We don't know if he wants to continue to fight. We don't know if he wants to retire. We do know that he's not interested in fighting Shakur Stevenson, which in my opinion is 1 and 2, 1A and 1 and 1A in the lightweight division. That's crazy. Why he wouldn't fight him? I don't think he wants to fight Tio now based on all the stuff that Tio's saying. The racial stuff. Now the thing in boxing is, since they believe Tio was a racist, nobody wants to give him a payday. I mean, it's crazy, right? As the world turns in the world of boxing, whatever happened to, well, if he's racist, then I'm going to go in there, I'm going to knock his head off. I'm going to show him why he should be racist. Why can't they make that happen? I mean, it's insane, man. I mean, boxers are more worried about their bank account than legacy, bro. Nasty work, man. Nasty work. So shout out to Keyshawn. Xander Zayas, my guy, won in the co-main event. I believe he put up a clinic. Again, you can look at the opponent, and question the opponent, but Xander did what he needed to do. He does a lot of good things in there. I defend Xander because I think that he can be a superstar. In the next few years, I think he can. He has the potential. And he doesn't necessarily have to knock people out to be that superstar. And that's the problem. Puerto Rican fighters are usually known, with that monstrous left hook. But what if he's going to be Puerto Rico's first version of Floyd Mayweather and just be that boxer, mover? I'm not saying that. I'm not predicting that. But I'm just giving y'all food for thought. Is he ready for the big boys now? I don't know. He did get that stoppage, and I was happy about that because you got a lot of Xander people that criticize him for not having that killer instinct. He did take his foot off the gas in that fight, but he got the job done. The body work, in my opinion, was exceptional. He broke this kid down to the body, and he stopped him. This kid from Germany that was trained by Roy Jones Jr. So shout out to my guy, Xander, man. We're looking to try possibly get him on the show one day as well. He did his thing. I think in a couple years, we're going to be talking about Xander with the big boys. But let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, one thing I will tell Top Rank is you got to start taking the leash off, bro. You got to start taking the leash off, bro. He's got 22, 23 fights. Let's go. Let's get up in competition. The next fight in June, if that's what he gets, should be against a former world champion. After the Patrick Teixeira fight, a former world champion, he should be facing former world champions or putting himself in the line for a strap. If he thinks he's ready, who are we to say he's not? See what I'm saying? And he thinks he's ready. He wanted that Virgil Ortiz smoke. Obviously, they went with a more experienced guy in Madrimov. I get it. I know why. But hey, man, you got to give Xander props for putting his hand up saying, I want that smoke. Get me up in the mix. I interviewed him in Orlando last year. I asked him that question. When do you think you're going to be ready for the big boys for a title shot at 154? He didn't let me finish. He didn't even let me finish when he said, I'm ready now. I'm just waiting for the opportunity. You got to love that in a young fighter. You got to love that desire to want to be great in a young fighter. So a lot to like about Xander. Again, Jared Anderson won. I question, his attitude. Did he even want to be in the ring? His body language, absolutely horrendous. I don't know. It's always been with me, not a skill thing with Jared Anderson, the real big baby, but more of a desire, heart. Do you want to be great? Or do you just want to make enough money to support your family for the rest of your life? If that's the case, then do what you need to do and go, man, because the last thing we want you to do is get hurt in the process. When you go out there and you put performances like he did this fight, he won the fight, but you could tell in the beginning of that fight, he did not want to be in there. That's dangerous, man. You do that against another guy like Bacoli, you could be seriously hurt, man. So, you gotta really, really decide, like, is this for me? Is my heart going to be in it? Am I going to go all in? Because boxing don't play. You can't play boxing, and you definitely can't play heavyweight boxing. You saw what happened against Bacoli. So he won. Vito Melanecki was a draw. Again, Vito Melanecki is a guy that I wanted Xander to fight. He fought his first fight at 160. It was a draw. I'm not mad at it. I have him slightly winning. But again, a guy who started fast, who didn't push, who didn't put his foot on the gas pedal. Allowed the other guy to get momentum, get back into the fight, and potentially almost beat him. Again, a draw, that's close. That's close quarters. You don't want that, right? As a young fighter, you want to separate yourself. Abdullah Mason proved that he's a superstar in the making. There are a lot of people that are high on him. I like him. I do. But we got to stop calling him a prospect. He's not a prospect anymore, man. He's 16, 17 fights in. Last 2 years, a prospect. No, this is where we got to start to up the competition. If we believe that he's that next superstar in boxing, then we got to get the competition level up to par. I love the fact that in his last fight, he went down, faced adversity. I love when young guys face adversity at a young age. Rather get spoon-fed, and then they face it later on, and they don't know how to handle it. He handled it well, came back, excellent performance this Friday night. I'm sorry, Valentine's Day. So again, a lot to like with Abdullah Mason. Shout out to Arnold Barboza Jr. for going across the pond and beating Jack Catterall in his backyard, something I didn't think he would do.
Straight cash, homie.
I didn't think he would do that, especially in a close fight. And that fight was super close. Super close. I'm not mad that they gave it to Barboza, and I'm happy for him. He's a good guy. I thought Catterall landed some sharp punches, but again, Catterall has the tendency not to be as busy enough, a little bit more calculated. He's a sneaky puncher. That's how he fights. Sneaky counter puncher. Good sharp left hand. Not the strongest, but very, very sharp. You have to respect it, right? You have to respect it. So I'm not mad at it, but I never, if you would have told me these guys are going to fight to a really, really close fight in the UK and they're going to give it to Barboza, I would have told you smoking crack.
You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at me, boy. Don't you smoke crack?
That's exactly what I would have told you if you would have told me before Saturday that Barboza was going to win a close decision in the UK. That usually never happens. So shout out to him and shout out to Oscar Duarte, who did his thing against a last-minute replacement, a tough dude. This wasn't your typical last-minute replacement. This was another Mexican, Miguel Medueno, who went the distance with Keyshawn Davis, who right now everybody's regarding as a lightweight killer, right? He went the distance, a tough guy, and that fight I predicted would be the fight of the weekend based on styles, and it did not disappoint until it was over. And Duarte does his thing, finishes that fight by stoppage, I believe, in the 7th round, but the first 6.5 rounds were absolutely fire. So shout out to Duarte. I think at 140, now being trained by Robert Garcia. He's one to watch at 140, man. I mean, he's one to watch at 140. Don't get it twisted, man. He can punch. Remember, I interviewed Jojo Diaz about a month ago, and I asked him who his toughest fight was and the hardest hitter he faced, and he said by far it was Oscar Duarte. He said Duarte hit like he had concrete in his gloves. Like, we got to check this dude, bro. For Vada, we got to check this dude for Ostry, bro. Listen, I'm not throwing no allegations, man. I'm capping right now. But nah, man, shout out to Oscar Duarte. He did exactly what he needed to do. That's not easy when you're supposed to fight another guy who's supposed to fight Regis Prograis. And Prograis had to pull out about 10 days before the fight with a shoulder injury. In comes Medueno, tough dude. And he went in there. He battled for 6 rounds. He gave it his all. He won the first 2 rounds. So shout out to him until Duarte started to cook. And then after that, I mean, it was over in the 7th. Duarte did a lot of good work, especially to the body. So shout out to him. So all in all, a good weekend of boxing. But this weekend should be even better. So again, we will be breaking it down on Thursday night show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got my brother X from Four Corners Boxing in the building. You know what it is and who it is. What's going on, champ? Always here to support, man. You know how we do it up. We family, man. Four Corners Boxing. Shout out to them. They are family. In fact, they got their podcast tomorrow night, I believe, at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. If you're not following them, make sure you are following them. And that's right. Smash that like button and make sure you share and subscribe. And if you're watching this on recording, make sure you smash that like button as well. It will help. It will help get this channel out into the algorithm of other boxing fans. We need to get our name out there, man. We need to get our name out there. We made our mark in 2024. 2025, we're looking to take it to the next level. We're looking to take over, bro. Davis versus Davis is fire, but Keyshawn versus Loma is also fire. I agree, X. I think that's a very good fight. But does Lomachenko ever fight again? That's my question. Do we ever see him again? I don't know. I think he's retired, man. I think he's going to retire. There's really nothing else for him to prove. I don't think that he's interested in the Tank fight now. I think he was interested in that fight when we all were interested in it 5 years ago or somewhat. Now, even if they fought, when they announced it, I was kind of lukewarm about it. I thought it was more like spoiled milk. Past the due date, bro. But it is what it is. I mean, I think that would be a great fight if Loma is ready to come back and be committed. That's the key. We got Liz. I love Xander, but I want him to want blood from his opponent. I haven't seen that yet. That's a great point. We were talking about that during the fight. That's the thing that I need to see out of Xander, that killer instinct, right? Like when you have an inferior opponent, you need to step on that gas. You need to take it to second and third gear. I think he can do it. He's just got to, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And again, I know young fighters have the tendency not to step on the gas because they're afraid they might make a mistake and get hit with something that realistically they wouldn't if they didn't take chances. But sometimes you got to take chances, man. You got to take chances. You got to have that killer instinct. Puerto Ricans are known as great finishers, especially with that left hook to the body, man. And he landed a vicious left hook to the body that ended that fight. I got to see more. And let's see, because usually, that comes out in fighters as they face more tougher fighters and more adversity. So we got to see that. Again, the good news is he's young. He's only 22 years old. I think he has a bright future ahead of him. And I fully expect him to be mentioned amongst the big dogs, whether it's in 154 or 160 by the time he's 25 years old. That's my prediction. And I'm sticking to that, whether you guys like it or not. This is my show. So I'm sticking to that. Actually, nah, I'm bullshitting. This is our show, man. The Hangout spot is for us, my subscribers, my chat members, y'all family. Y'all know the deal, man. Y'all come to the Hangout spot, y'all family. He's not ready for Ortiz, though. We not in the same 101. Thank you for rocking out, my brother. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that that's debatable. Ortiz has faced the tougher competition by far at this point in his career. But we'll see. We'll see down the road. But I still give Xander props for wanting that smoke, for putting his hand up saying, hey, Boots don't want that fight, I'll step in. Give me that fight February 22nd, and I will step in. He put his name in the hat. And not a lot of young fighters are doing that. We need more of that from our younger fighters, because that's what's going to make boxing great, man. The problem that we have in boxing, like boxing is its own worst enemy. It's too much maneuvering based on what makes sense financially, what style makes sense for me to look good against, how I can maneuver, keeping my O as long as I can. Nah, bro, this should be about legacy, man. When's the last time you heard a young fighter mention the word legacy? I don't even think they could spell it, bro. That's crazy to me, bro. And we have the talent. That's the problem. We have the talent in boxing today where if the best fought the best, it could be just as good as the golden era that all of us true boxing fans talk about in the 80s and 90s, bro. It absolutely could be better. It could be just as good and even better. Think about it. These guys, these athletic ability of these fighters, these athletes today in all sports is off the meters. I mean, but they gotta start mixing it up, man. They gotta start getting it popping. They gotta get it shaking, man. So when you got a young fighter, regardless of what we think, that believes that they're good enough to challenge, why not? Why not? It's not just about a loss. I never call a loss a loss. A loss is a learning experience, man. You learn from that. And the better fighters get better because of that loss. Look at what happened to Canelo against Floyd. Floyd took him to school. How much better did Canelo get from that fight? Now we're talking about Canelo as being the face of boxing, right? Granted, he's a little bit of a diva. We'll save that for another show. But potentially, you can't argue what he's done after Floyd, his resume, winning titles in multiple divisions, which is why it frustrates me what he's doing now. But it is what it is. His fans will say he earned that right because they enable that bullshit. I get it, but I'm not an enabler. That's not how I roll. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We spoke about Canelo last week, so I will not bring him up. But anyhow, hopefully y'all enjoyed the show, man. We had the welterweight champion, Brian Norman Jr. in the building. He was a little pressed for time. I wish I would have had him a little longer because he's an old school fight fan. And the last interview I did with him last year, we talked about his favorite old school fighters. So I had some old school questions lined up for him, but we'll get him back on. After his victory, March 29th, we'll get him back on. We'll talk about his victory. We'll talk a little bit about his future. Then we'll talk some old school because I love talking old school boxing, man. But we got Elvin Rodriguez Gutierrez. What's up, my brother? Usually it's past your bedtime, man, but thanks for rocking out with me. These fighters are worried about their record and they don't want to fight each other. Yeah, man, it's all about preserving that O, right? Because the O speaks volumes. But in a sense, it's also us. It's the fault of the fans as well, too, man. Because we live in a day and age, especially now with social media, where we'll be riding a fighter who's undefeated. Then all of a sudden he goes in there against another tough fighter. He gets cooked. Then all of a sudden we want to throw him out to the curb. Oh, I told you he wasn't that good. He was overrated. He's trash, blah, blah, blah. And you don't think these fighters hear that? They're the most sensitive creature in the world. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me. I live in the boxing world now. Behind the scenes, fighters can be very, very, very. They're emotional. They get in their feelings. They get in their feelings, man. They get in their feelings. So they hear this stuff and they see what's on social media. So, the fans got to cool out too, man. If a fighter loses to another good fighter, I mean, it's okay. But to cook him and say that he's garbage and he's overrated, I mean, we do that way too often. I don't, but a lot of fight fans do it, especially casuals. And y'all got to stop that shit. Y'all ruining the sport, man. Continue to support these fighters, man. Continue to push for big fights. Continue to give these other fighters that lose props. Anyway, this is how we do it up at the Hangout spot. But I hope y'all enjoyed this show. We're going to be right back at it Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will break down every single fight from this incredible fight card Turki Al-Sheikh has put together for us, entitled The Last Crescendo, February 22nd in Saudi Arabia. We're going to have the Boxing Maniac in the house. But make sure you're following me on IG because we may also get at some point Bomac McIntyre in the building either this week or next week. And if you don't know about it, start following me on IG so that you can be made aware about it. But as always, man, I appreciate the love and support. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot Live, and I will talk to everybody soon.